If you suggest, especially if translation studies is going to be integrated into the PhD structure, and if it's true that the scholarships are going to be increased. Not only an institutional awareness, but also an awareness of, how would we call it, materialistic matters, reality. Some would say it's maybe a prefiguration, a kind of foreshadowing of a more rosy EU future or so. That was already somewhere in the head. Financial pecuniary, as it said, pecunia non olet, as you know. Money doesn't smell, whether it comes from Tartu or from Brussels, no difference. But I have to admit, Manuel was already back then perfectly able to adapt his life to, and his lifestyle to reality. Because from him, I learned a concept that was called couch surfing. And it was related to his first visit to Tartu, because again, after my next feedback letter, again 2 weeks later, end of February, okay, I'm considering coming over to Tartu this Easter break to get a first impression of the city, as if he was already accepted. Is there any chance you will be there and available on any of those days, so that we can meet up and discuss this proposal further? So again, that straightforwardness that I liked a lot. Sorry about the national stereotyping, but taking the bull by the horns. After several more rounds of feedback and rewritings, okay, his proposal was accepted as, I think, the first one in the whole list, so it was very good. And then the PhD trajectory began. Successful and reliable trajectory, as we know, a bright scholarly mind, as I texted you this morning, a bright scholarly mind, positive life attitude, and, I would say incredible intellectual but also practical flexibility and tenacity to even, combine all of this and the finishing of the PhD with the new EU job. I usually prefer to present and publish at least once with my PhD students during their PhD career. Unfortunately, there was the pandemic, of course, and the conference in Canada where our paper was accepted and where we were supposed to present, that was unfortunately only online. But okay, I'm very happy that we at least managed to publish together in Perspectives a few months ago. I think 2 PhD studies students ago at KU Leuven, I called the PhD student in the Laudatio like now, after the defense, my ANT researcher, my ANT researcher, because she had struggled a lot with the application of ANT, so the actor network theory, which she compared herself with, the tough and cumbersome work of ants. And she defended also in ant work, and more related to that. I will remember you, Manuel, not as my ant, but as my INT PhD researcher, for several reasons. International is quite obvious. Granada, Edinburgh, Ghent, Münster, Leuven, Tartu, Luxembourg even, so that's clear. Interlingual is of course also quite obvious, related to the multilingual character of your international life, where you also always manage to immediately pick up local languages and local cultures, which made me jealous after all these years in Estonia, but okay, that's another issue. So international, interlingual, intralingual, that's quite clear after this afternoon's presentation, I think. But even in the semiotic, I think your combination of languages with all your other, what I would call sign systems, your very expressive body language, your quality of being all ears and eyes in a way, your very strong visual and auditory presence as well. So someone who combines all these ins is actually, I would say, a truly translational person, crossing borders, crossing concepts, crossing cultures, crossing meanings, crossing sign systems. Manuel is translation, and translation is Manuel in a nutshell. To conclude, let me add one last int. In every sense of the word, Manuel, I think you are a highly interesting person, a word that has very often been mentioned this afternoon as well. Interesting in the sense of interessere. So much in betweenness, between so many things, between meanings and qualities, so much between meanings and qualities that it also leads to professional and other dilemmas. What you have is a satisfactory and partly challenging and well-paid job in Luxembourg. What you could have is, of course, an academic career in translation, maybe more challenging. Translation and translation studies. But I know the latter goes with some more uncertainties, for instance, of an institutional nature, and then we're back at where we started with one of your first emails. Matters of the heart, as you know, Manuel, they are usually more risky matters and slippery matters. Well, up to you to make that life choice. But in both cases, I'm convinced that you will make it, well, you make that life interesting. At this point, I think I also would like to thank your parents for having raised such an interesting son. And even if I don't know Spanish, maybe I can at least say something like, felicitaciones por un hijo muy interesante. That's about everything. I have no doubt whatsoever, Manuel, that your life, irrespective of your professional choices, will continue to be, well, full of interests and of interesse. Keep it like that. It was truly a pleasure to collaborate with you. Bon voyage.